So this evening we are at the Dhammadina Vipassana Center with Joshua Tree Retreat number 4. This is Venerable Vimalaramsi, and it is March the 7th, 2009. Tonight's talk is going to be from the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta number 95, the Canki Sutta, Whip Canki.
Now this particular sutta I really like a lot. It explains the whole process of the meditation, what needs to happen. So I'm going to start and let you know what it says. What a nice monk I am. Thus have I heard on one occasion the Blessed One was wandering in the Kosalan country with a large sangha of monks, and he eventually arrived at the Kosalan Brahmin village named Uposatha. There the Blessed One stayed in the God's Grove, the Salatree Grove, to the north of Uposatha. Now on that occasion, the Brahmin Canki was ruling Uposatha, a crown property abounding in living beings, rich in grasslands, woodlands, waterways, and grain, a royal endowment, a sacred grant given to him by King Pasenadi of Kosala. The Brahmin householders of Uposatha heard the recluse Gautama, the son of the Sakyans, went forth from the Sakyan clan, has been wandering in the country of the Vedayans with a large sangha of monks. Of course, he never traveled with less than 500. Now, a good report of Master Gautama has been spread to this effect. The Blessed One is accomplished, fully enlightened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct. What is it to be perfect in conduct?
Keeping the precepts.
Well, keeping the precepts, but not doing anything in an offensive way. Very gentle, very kind. Sublime, knower of worlds, incomparable, leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and blessed. He declares this world with its Brahmas, its Maras, and its Brahmas. This generation with its recluses and Brahmins, with its princes and its people, which he has himself realized with direct knowledge. He teaches the Dhamma that is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with right meaning and phrasing. And he reveals a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. Now it is good to see such arahats. Then the Brahmin householders of Uposatha set forth from Uposatha in groups and bands and headed northwards towards the God's Grove, the Salatree Grove. Now on that occasion the Brahmin Canki had retired to the upper story of his palace for his midday rest. Then he saw the Brahmin householders of Uposatha setting forth from Uposatha in groups and bands, and heading northwards to God's Grove, the Salatree Grove. When he saw them, he asked his minister, "Good minister, why are the Brahmin householders of Uposatha setting forth from the Uposatha in groups and bands and heading northward to the God's Grove, the Salatree Grove?" "Sir, there is the recluse Gautama, the son of Sakyans, who went forth from the Sakyan clan, who has been wandering in the Kosalan country, the son of the Sakyans, who went forth from a Sakyan clan, has been wandering in the country of the Vedayans with a large sangha of monks, with 500 monks. Now, a good report of Master Gautama has been spread to this effect. The Blessed One is accomplished, fully enlightened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct. Sublime knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed. Teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and blessed. He declares this world with its gods, its Maras and its Brahmas, this generation with its recluse and Brahmins, with its princes and its people, which he has himself realized with direct knowledge. He teaches the Dhamma that is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with the right meaning and phrasing. And he reveals a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. Now it is good to see such arahats. They are going to see Master Gotama. Then, good Master, go to the Brahmins, householders of Uposatha, and tell them, sirs, the Brahman Chanki says this. Please wait, sirs. The Brahman Chanki will go to see the recluse Gotama. Yes, sir, the minister replied, and he went to the Brahmin householders of Uposatha and gave them the message. Now on that occasion, 500 Brahmins from various states were staying in Uposatha with some business or other. They heard the Brahmin Chanki. It is said he is going to see the recluse Gotama. They went to the Brahmin Chanki and asked him, sir, is it true that you're going to see the recluse Gotama? So it is, sirs, I'm going to see the recluse Gotama. Sir, do not go see the recluse Gotama. It is not proper, Master Chanki, for you to go see the recluse Gotama. Rather, it is proper for the recluse Gotama to come see you. For you, sir, are well born on both sides, with pure maternal and paternal descent 7 generations back, unassailable and impeccable in respect of birth. Since that is so, Master Chanki, it is not proper for you to go see the recluse Gotama, rather it is proper for the recluse Gotama to come see you. This is the kind of thing that happens a lot with people of importance trying to say, I'm more important than you are, you should come see me, I shouldn't go see you. Since that is so, Master Chanki, it is not proper for you to go see the recluse Gotama, rather it is proper for the recluse Gotama to come see you. You, sir, are rich, with great wealth and great possessions. You, sir, are a master of the 3 Vedas, with the vocabularies, liturgy, phonology, etymology, and the histories as a 5th. Skilled in philology and grammar. You are fully versed in natural philosophy and in the marks of a great man. You, sir, are handsome, comely, and graceful, possessing supreme beauty of complexion, with sublime beauty and sublime presence, remarkable to behold. You, sir, are virtuous, mature in virtue, possessing mature virtue. You, sir, are a good speaker with a good delivery. You speak words that are courteous, distinct, flawless, and communicate the meaning. You, sir, teach the teachers of many, and you teach the recitation of the hymns to 300 Brahmin students. You, sir, are honored, respected, revered, venerated, and esteemed by King Pasenadi of Kosala. You, sir, are honored, respected, revered, venerated, and esteemed by many Brahmin. You, sir, rule Uposatha, a crown property, abounding in living beings, a sacred grant given to you by King Pasenadi of Kosala. Since this is so, Master Chanki, it is not proper for you to see the recluse Gotama. Rather, it is proper for the recluse Gotama to come see you. When this was said, the Brahmin Chanki told these Brahmins, "Now, sirs, hear from me why it is proper for me to go see Master Gotama and why it is not proper for Master Gotama to come see me. Sirs, the recluse Gotama is well born on both sides, of pure maternal and paternal descent 7 generations back, unassailable and impeccable in respect of birth. Since this is so, sirs, it is not proper for Master Gotama to come see me, rather it is proper for me to go see Master Gotama. Sirs, the recluse Gotama went forth, abandoning much gold and bullion stored up away in vaults and depositories. Sir, the recluse Gotama went forth from the home life into homelessness while still young, a black-haired young man endowed with the blessings of youth in the prime of life. During, well, even today in India, the Brahmins, what they will do is live the lay life, and then when they get to be about 60 years old, their family is all grown, they're taking care of everything. They give all of their things away, and then they become ascetics. So for Master Gotama to do this while he was still very young is unheard of. Nobody would ever do a thing like that. So it's really quite remarkable that he did this sort of thing. Sirs, the recluse Gotama shaved off his hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and went forth from the home life into homelessness through his mother and father, though his mother and father wished otherwise, and wept with tearful faces. Sir, the recluse Gotama is handsome, comely, and graceful, possessing supreme beauty of complexion, with sublime beauty and sublime presence, remarkable to behold. Sirs, the recluse Gotama is virtuous, with noble virtue, with wholesome virtue, possessing wholesome virtue. Sirs, the recluse Gotama is a good speaker, with good delivery. He speaks words that are courteous, distinct, flawless, and communicate the meaning. Sir, the recluse Gotama is a teacher of teachers of many. Sirs, the recluse Gotama is free from sensual lust, without personal vanity. Sirs, the recluse Gotama holds the doctrine of moral efficacy of action, the doctrine of moral efficacy of deeds. He does not seek any harm for the line of Brahmins. That's a major thing, that he's not trying to convince anybody of anything. He's not proselytizing. He's just speaking the Dhamma, and he answers any questions that anybody comes up with. Sirs, the recluse Gotama went forth from an aristocratic family, from one of the original noble families. His family, there's the Brahmin caste, that's the highest caste in India. The next caste is the warrior class. The warrior class are the ones that were the rulers and the fighters. But they were the ones that were the kings and princes and all of that sort of thing. Sirs, the recluse Gotama went forth from a rich family, from a family with great wealth and great possession. Sirs, people come from remote kingdoms and remote districts to question the recluse Gotama. Sirs, many thousands of deities have gone for refuge for life to the recluse Gotama. Sirs, a good report of the recluse Gotama has been spread to this effect, that the Blessed One is accomplished, fully enlightened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and blessed. Sirs, the recluse Gautama possesses the 32 marks of a great man. Sirs, King Bimbisara of Magadha and his wife and children have gone for refuge for life to the recluse Gautama. Sirs, King Pasenadi of Kosala and his wives and children have gone forth for refuge for life to the recluse Gautama. Sirs, many Brahmins and their wife and children have gone forth for refuge for life to the recluse Gautama. I, sirs, that I isn't supposed to be there. Sirs, the recluse Gautama has arrived at Upasara and is living in Upasara in the God's Grove, the Salab tree grove, to the north of Upasara. Now, any recluses or Brahmins that come to our town are our guests, and guests should be honored, respected, revered, and venerated by us. Since the recluse Gautama has arrived at Upasara, he is our guest, and as our guest should be honored, respected, revered, and venerated by us. Since this is so, sirs, it is not proper for Master Gautama to come see me. Rather, it is proper for me to come see Master Gautama. Sirs, this much is the praise of Master Gautama that I have learned, but the praise of Master Gautama is not limited to this, for the praise of Master Gautama is immeasurable. Since Master Gautama possesses each of these factors, it is not proper for him to come see me. Rather, it is proper for me to go see Master Gautama. Therefore, sirs, let all of us go to see the recluse Gautama. Then the Brahmin Canki, together with a large company of Brahmins, went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side. Now on that occasion the Blessed One was seated, finishing some amiable talk with some senior Brahmins. At the time, sitting in the assembly, was a young student, a young, shaven head, 16 years old. He was a master of the 3 Vedas, with their vocabularies, liturgy, phonology, and etymology, and histories as the 5th. Skilled in philology and grammar, he was fully versed in natural philosophy and in the marks of a great man. For somebody to have memorized all of this at the age of 16 means that he had a truly remarkable mind and was respected. While the very senior Brahmins were conversing with the Blessed One, he often broke in and interrupted their talk. This is something that is not to be done. Even among monks, the senior monk is the one that talks to whoever they're visiting. The junior monks sit and are quiet. For a junior monk to break in and interrupt the talk, it's considered very rude. And when I was in Burma, we would go to visit a monastery, and I was a senior foreign monk. So they were always talking to me, and I just happened to be about 3 days senior to the next monk down, and that irked him a little bit. So one day he said, I want to sit first, because always the senior monk sits down first. And because I wasn't really attached, I said, okay. And he started talking so much nonsense to the senior monk, I never let him do that again. He often broke in and interrupted their talk. Then the Blessed One rebuked the Brahmin student thus: "Let not the Venerable One break in and interrupt the talk of the senior Brahmins while they are conversing. Let the Venerable One wait until the talk is finished." When this was said, the Brahmin Canki said to the Blessed One, "Let not Master Gotama rebuke the Brahmin student. The Brahmin student is a clansman. He is very learned, he has good delivery and is wise, and is capable of taking part in the discussion with Master Gotama." So Canki went in and got on his side, on the student's side. Then the Blessed One thought, "Surely, since the Brahmins honor him thus, the Brahmin student must be accomplished in the scriptures of the 3 Vedas." Then the Brahmin student thought, "When the recluse Gotama catches my eye, I shall ask him a question." Then, knowing with his own mind the thought of the Brahmin student, the Blessed One turned his eye towards him. Then the Brahmin student thought, "The recluse Gotama has turned towards me. Suppose I ask him a question." Then he said to the Blessed One, "Master Gotama, in regard to ancient Brahmatic hymns that have come down through the oral traditions and the scriptural collections, the Brahmins come to the definite conclusion: only this is true, anything else is wrong. What does Master Gotama say about this? How then, student, among the Brahmins is there even a single Brahmin who says thus: I know this, I see this, this is true and anything else is wrong? No, Master Gotama. How then, student, among the Brahmins is there even a single teacher or a single teacher of teachers back to the 7th generation of teachers who says this: I know this, I see this, only this is true and anything else is wrong? No, Master Gotama. How then, student, the ancient Brahmin seers, the creators of the hymns, the composers of the hymns, whose ancient hymns that were formerly chanted, uttered, and compiled, the Brahmins nowadays still chant and repeat, repeating what was spoken and reciting what was recited. And then he goes through a bunch of Indian names which I'm not going to go into. Didn't even these ancient Brahmin seers say thus: we know this, we see this, only this is true, anything else is wrong? No, Master Gotama. So, student, it seems that among the Brahmins there's not even a single Brahmin who says thus: I know this, I see this, only this is true and anything else is wrong. Among the Brahmins, there is not even a single teacher or a single teacher's teacher, back to the 7th generation of teachers, who says, I know this, I see this, only this is true, anything else is wrong. And the ancient Brahmin seers, the creators of the hymns, the composers of the hymns, even these Brahmin seers did not say thus: we know this, we see this, only this is true and anything else is wrong. Suppose there were a file of blind men, each in touch with the next. The first one does not see, the middle one does not see, and the last one does not see. So too, student, in regard to their statement, the Brahmins seem to be like a file of blind men. First one does not see, the middle one does not see, the last one does not see. What do you think, student? That being so, does not the faith of the Brahmins turn out to be groundless? Where I live in the Bible Belt, I hear a lot of this is true and everything else is wrong. So this is something that I like to bring up for some of those. The Brahmins honor this not only out of faith, Master Gautama, but also honor it as oral tradition. Student, first you took a stand on faith, now you speak of oral tradition. There are 5 things, student, that turn out in 2 different ways here and now. What 5? Faith, approval, oral tradition, reason, cogitation, and reflective acceptance of a view. These 5 things may turn out in 2 different ways here and now. Now something may be fully accepted out of faith, yet it may be empty, hollow, and false. But something else may not be fully accepted out of faith, yet it may be factual, true, and unmistaken. Again, something may be fully approved of, or well transmitted, or well cogitated, or well reflected upon, yet it may be empty, hollow, and false. But something else may not be well reflected upon, yet it may be factual, true, and unmistaken. Under these conditions, it is not proper for a wise man to preserve truth. Who preserves truth to come to the definite conclusion, only this is true, anything else is wrong. But Master Gautama, in what way is there the preservation of truth? How does one preserve truth? We asked Master Gautama about the preservation of truth. If a person has faith, student, he preserves truth when he says, "My faith is thus." But he does not yet come to the definite conclusion, only this is true and anything else is wrong. In this way, student, there is the preservation of truth. In this way he preserves truth. In this way we describe the preservation of truth.
Can I ask a question?
Yes?
When he said he preserves truth by saying my faith is thus,
I'm saying this, but I'm not saying that it's the only truth. That way he preserves truth.
that's what his faith is?
Yeah, you just say, this is what my belief is. But you don't go ahead and say, this is the absolute truth. Everything else out there is wrong.
Okay.
Okay? But, okay. In this way he preserves truth. In this way we describe the preservation of truth. But as yet there is no discovery of truth. If a person approves of something, if he receives an oral tradition, if he reaches a conclusion based on reasoned cogitation, if he gains a reflective acceptance of a view, he preserves truth when he says, my reflective acceptance of this is thus. But he does not yet come to the definite conclusion, only this is true and anything else is wrong. See? In this way too, student, there is the preservation of truth. In this way he preserves truth. In this way we describe the preservation of truth. But as yet there's no discovery of truth. In that way, Master Gautama, there is the preservation of truth. In that way one preserves truth. In that way we recognize the preservation of truth. But in what way, Master Gautama, is there the discovery of truth? In what way does one discover truth? We asked Master Gotama about the discovery of truth. Here, student, a monk may be living in dependence on some village or town. Then a householder or householder's son goes to him, investigates him in regards to 3 states. In regards to the state based on greed, in regard to the states based on hate, and in regard to states based on delusion. Are there in this Venerable One any states based on greed, such that, with his mind obsessed with those states, while not knowing he might say, I know, or while not seeing he might say, I see, or he might urge others to act in a way that would lead to their harm and suffering for a long time? As he investigates him, he comes to know there is no such states based on greed in this Venerable One. The bodily behavior and verbal behavior of this Venerable One are not those of one affected by greed. And the Dhamma that this Venerable One teaches is profound, hard to see, hard to understand, peaceful and sublime, unattainable by mere reasoning, subtle, to be experienced by the wise. This Dhamma cannot easily be taught by one affected by greed. When he has investigated him and has seen that he is purified from the state based on greed, he next investigates him in regard to states based on hate. Are there in this Venerable One any such states based on hate, such that, with his mind possessed of those states, while not knowing he might say, I know, or while not seeing he might say, I see, or he might urge others to act in a way that would lead to their harm and suffering for a long time? As he investigates him, he comes to know there are no such states based on hate in this Venerable One. The bodily behavior and verbal behavior of this Venerable One are not those of one affected by hate. And the Dhamma that this Venerable One teaches is profound, hard to see, hard to understand, peaceful and sublime, unattainable by mere reasoning, subtle to be experienced by the wise. The Dhamma cannot easily be taught by one affected by hate. When he has investigated him and has seen that he is purified from states based on hate, he next investigates him in regard to states based on delusion. Remember what delusion is? What?
Not self.
Not knowing.
Seeing the impersonal nature of everything.
Not-
Now back here, when he says to be experienced by the wise, what are we talking about? Dependent origination. So that's even in this sutta, but it's not easily seen that way unless it's explained to you. When he has investigated him and has seen he is purified from the states based on hate, he next investigates him in regard to states based on delusion. Are there in this Venerable One any states based on delusion, such that, with his mind obsessed with those states, while not knowing he might say, I know, or while not seeing he might say, I see, or he might urge others to act in a way that would lead to their harm and suffering for a long time? As he investigates him, he comes to know there are no such states based on delusion in this Venerable One. The bodily behavior and verbal behavior of this Venerable One are not those of one affected by delusion. And the Dhamma that this Venerable One teaches is profound, hard to see and hard to understand, peaceful, sublime, unattainable by mere reasoning, subtle to be experienced by the wise. This Dhamma cannot easily be taught by one affected by delusion. When he has investigated him and seen that he is purified from states based on delusion, then he places faith in him. Filled with faith, he visits him and pays respect to him. Having paid respect to him, gives ear. When he gives ear, he hears the Dhamma. Having heard the Dhamma, he memorizes it and examines the meaning of the teachings. He has memorized. When he examines their meaning, he gains reflective acceptance of those teachings. When he has gained reflective acceptance of those teachings, enthusiasm springs up. When enthusiasm has sprung up, he applies his mindfulness. Having applied his mindfulness, he scrutinizes. Having scrutinized, he strives. Resolutely striving, he realizes with the body of the Supreme Truth and sees it by penetrating it with wisdom, seeing it through the eyes of dependent origination. In this way, student, there is the discovery of truth. In this way, one discovers truth. In this way, we describe the discovery of truth. But as yet, there is no final arrival at truth. In that way, Master Gotama, there is the discovery of truth. In that way, one discovers truth. In what way we recognize the discovery of truth? In that way we recognize the discovery of truth. But in what way, Master Gotama, is there the final arrival at truth? In what way does one finally arrive at truth? We asked Master Gotama about the final arrival at truth. The final arrival at truth, student, lies in the repetition, development, and cultivation of those same things. So when you're sitting in meditation and you have distractions, you continually practice the 6 R's. That's how you develop and cultivate the truth. So, we'll do this again. The final arrival at truth, student, lies in the repetition, development, and cultivation of those things previously taught. Learning dependent origination, learning about the 5 aggregates, learning about the 7 factors of enlightenment, learning about the 6 R's and practicing seeing them continually, the Eightfold Path, the 5 faculties, the 5 powers, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. All of these things we continually use and repeat and repeat and repeat over and over again until we realize them. And that's how you attain the truth, or arrive at the truth. In this way, student, there is the arrival at truth. In this way, one finally arrives at truth. In this way, we describe the final arrival at truth. In this way, Master Gotama, there is the final arrival at truth. In that way, one finally arrives at truth. In that way, we recognize the final arrival at truth. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for the final arrival at truth? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for the final arrival at truth. So you see the questions that this young 16-year-old is asking are very penetrating and get right to the point. He wants to know as much as he possibly can while he's talking with the Buddha, so he keeps asking questions. Striving is most helpful for the final arrival at truth, student. If one does not strive, one will not finally arrive at truth. But because one strives, one does finally arrive at truth. That is why striving is most helpful for the final arrival at truth. You gotta keep doing it. You gotta point your mind in the direction of the arrival at truth and keep working towards it. And that's what you're doing here on retreat. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for striving? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for striving. Scrutiny is most helpful for striving, student. If one does not scrutinize, one will not strive. Look closely. Think deeply. Feel whether this is the right thing for you or not. If one does not scrutinize, one will not strive, but because one scrutinizes, one strives. That is why scrutiny is most helpful for striving. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for scrutiny? We ask the Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for scrutiny. Application of mindfulness is most helpful for scrutiny, student. If one does not apply one's mindfulness, one will not scrutinize. But because one applies one's mindfulness, one scrutinizes. That is why the application of mindfulness is most helpful in scrutiny. Now this is mindfulness and investigation that we're talking about. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for the application of mindfulness? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for the application of mindfulness. Enthusiasm is most helpful for the application of mindfulness, student. If one does not arouse enthusiasm, one will not apply one's mindfulness. But because one arouses through enthusiasm, one applies one's mindfulness. That is why enthusiasm is most helpful for the application of mindfulness. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for enthusiasm? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for enthusiasm. A reflective acceptance of the teachings is most helpful for enthusiasm, student. If one does not gain a reflective acceptance of the teaching, enthusiasm will not spring up. So you have to continually be looking and practicing and seeing whether this is right or not. As you go deeper into your practice, you gain more enthusiasm. Ah, this is right. And that helps pick up your energy and keep your energy in balance. Because one gains reflective acceptance of the teaching, enthusiasm springs up. That is why reflective acceptance of the teachings is most helpful for enthusiasm. But Master Gotama, what is most helpful for reflective acceptance of the teachings? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for a reflective acceptance of the teaching. Examination of the meaning is most helpful for reflective acceptance of the teachings. If one does not examine their meaning, one will not gain reflective acceptance of the teachings. But because one examines their meaning, one gains a reflective acceptance of the teaching. That is why examination of the meaning is most helpful for a reflective acceptance of the teaching. This is one of the reasons that I'm continually going to my thesaurus and looking for easier words to understand that really point in the right direction. But you have to do it for yourself too. If you don't understand some words, you need to ask. If you don't understand how things work, you need to ask. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for the examination of meaning? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for examination of meaning. Memorizing the teaching is most helpful for examining the meaning. If one does not memorize a teaching, one will not examine its meaning. But because one memorizes a teaching, one examines the meaning. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to sit down with the book and memorize the whole book, although there are many monks that do. But you want to memorize what the 5 hindrances are, what the 5 precepts are, what the aggregates are, what the enlightenment factors are, what the Eightfold Path is.
Just
You need to know these.
Just memorize the handouts.
Yeah.
Tried to give you the framework there.
Yeah.
So this, and I had the specific good fortune of meeting somebody that had memorized the entire Tipitaka. He was in the World Book of Records for the best retentive memory. Mingun Sayadaw. Yeah. He memorized about 12,000 pages of material. But he didn't only memorize it, he took a test on it. Now you know how you go to college and they give you a test that's 4 hours long and you have to do it for 3 or 4 days in a row, and you start thinking, God, that's really tough. Okay, what he did for his test is he took a test 10 hours a day for 30 days in a row and got 90% correct. Now the test is this. I pick up a book, I flip it open to a page, I tell him what book it is, I tell him what sutta it is, I read one line from it, and then I say, continue. Now on a lot of it, he didn't make a mistake. But he also took written tests that were very comprehensive tests. And he got 90% right. So that shows you what kind of mind he had. And it was, I got a chance to spend just a short period of time with him. It was only a couple of days. But I got to ask him all the questions that had been burning about, is this in the sutta or is it in the commentary? And he would answer me. And I took him to, I believed what he said. And then I left and I came back and he was getting close to dying, and he weighed about, probably 60 pounds or something like that. He was just skin and bone. And I walked into the room and he saw me and he started radiating loving kindness that was just unbelievable. So I was radiating back to him. and I got a chance to be with him for a half an hour or so. But I walked away completely happy. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for memorizing the teachings? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for memorizing the teachings. Hearing the Dhamma is most helpful for memorizing the teachings, student. If one does not hear the Dhamma, one will not memorize the teaching. But because one hears the Dhamma, one memorizes the teaching. That is why hearing the Dhamma is most helpful for memorizing the teaching. What Master Gotama is most helpful for hearing the Dhamma? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for hearing the Dhamma. Giving ear is most helpful for hearing the Dhamma, student. If one does not give ear, and this means pay attention, don't be moving around unnecessarily, don't be making noises that would distract somebody else. That's the way you show your respect to the teacher, is by listening very closely to what's being said. And it's coming from my lips, but it's not coming from my mind. You see me reading what the suttas say. And this is from the Buddha. So there's a lot of respect for that as you learn how to pay close attention. Giving ear is most helpful for hearing the Dhamma, student. If one does not give ear, one does not hear the Dhamma. But because one gives ear, one hears the Dhamma. That is why giving ear is most helpful for hearing the Dhamma. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for giving ear? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for giving ear. Paying respect is most helpful for giving ear, student. If one does not pay respect, one will not give ear. But because one pays respect, one gives ear. That is why paying respect is most helpful for giving ear. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for paying respect? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for paying respect. Visiting a teacher is most helpful for paying respect, student. If one does not visit a teacher, one will not pay respect to him. But because one visits a teacher, one pays respect to him. That is why visiting is most helpful for paying respect. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for visiting? We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for visiting. Faith is most helpful for visiting, student. If faith in a teacher does not arise, one will not visit him. But because faith in a teacher arises, one visits him. That's why faith is most helpful for visiting. So we just did an entire circle. We started out with faith and how it was misleading the way he was talking about it. This is right, everything else is wrong. That was wrong faith. The Buddha showed him what right faith was. And now he's coming back down to, that's why you visit a teacher out of faith, that he's going to help you in one way or another. We asked Master Gotama about the preservation of truth, and Master Gotama answered about the preservation of truth. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we are satisfied. We asked Master Gotama about the discovery of truth. Master Gotama answered about the discovery of truth. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we are satisfied. We asked Master Gotama about the final arrival at truth, and Master Gotama answered about the final arrival at truth. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we are satisfied. We ask Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for the final arrival at truth, and Master Gotama answered about the thing most helpful for the final arrival at truth. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we're satisfied. Whatever we ask Master Gotama about that he has answered us, we approve and accept of that answer, and so we are satisfied. Formerly, Master Gotama, we used to think, who are these bald-pated recluses, swarthy menial offspring of the kinsman's feet? In Asia, feet are considered very dirty. So this is really a very high insult. Who are these bald-pated recluses, these swarthy menial offspring of the kinsman's feet, that they should understand the Dhamma? But Master Gotama has indeed inspired in me love for the recluses, confidence in recluses, reverence in recluses. Magnificent Master Gotama, magnificent. Master Gotama has made the Dhamma clear in many ways, as though he were turning upright what had been overthrown, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. I go to Master Gotama for refuge, and to the Dhamma and to the Sangha of monks. From today, let Master Gotama remember me as a lay follower who has gone to him for refuge for life. Let the Blessed One, together with the Sangha of monks, consent to accept tomorrow's meal from me. The Blessed One consented in silence. It means he shook his head yes. Then, knowing that the Blessed One had consented, the Brahmin student rose from his seat after paying homage to the Blessed One. Keeping him on his right, he departed. From today, let Master Gotama remember me as a lay follower who has gone to him for refuge for life. So, the whole discourse is really relevant for today because so many different religious teachings try to say that this is right and everything else is wrong. Even the Dhamma we don't say that. We allow the space for people to see for themselves what is right and what is wrong, using your own reflective acceptance of the truth. And as you practice, you get to see more and more closely how all of this actually does work. And you get to see whether what the Buddha was saying was true or not. But don't blindly believe anything. Even if it's written as the scriptures, things that are written down can have mistakes in them. They can be misleading. If you're doing the practice and you're seeing for yourself that this practice works, then you'll be able to discern more and more clearly what the path is. And you will start to develop your personality more and more, so your mind has more equanimity in it, and that leads to true contentment. That's what we're doing. That's what the meditation is for. So the more we repeat, the more repetition we hear. You know, what I did last night with the Canki Sutta, it has a lot of repetition in it. But it starts driving into your brain so you don't forget it. That's the way the Buddha taught. Now when you pick up the book of suttas, they have a lot of places where it has a ... so they don't have to repeat it again. I want to write the middle link sayings, because the middle link sayings have all you need to attain Nibbana in it. I want to rewrite that so that there is the repetition. And change the words so that they are more easily understood. So that you understand that when you see the word wisdom, what we're really talking about. So that you can really understand how this directly relates to the practice. That's one of the few projects that I have in mind. I need help, folks. The other thing that I wanted to do was put each sutta, have it read with all the repetition in, on a DVD, so that you could listen to the sutta and have somebody with a really good voice that can read it very well. So you can get more of a feel of the way the Buddha taught by listening to something like that, and not allowing your mind to go, yeah, I already know that, I heard that. But keep your mind open to, this is a brilliant teaching way. Everything is repeated over and over and over again, and it's different hearing it and reading it.
That's what the Nazis did to
Oh.
us. Wherever we went, we heard that, what they wanted and what was our ideal and where we are going. You could always hear it. I could always have some of the discourses they gave or speeches. I could repeat them.
Huh.
Yes, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Integration
Yeah.
on very last level, so to speak. And so they were screwing it in.
Yeah. And you pick it up whether you want to or not.
No, well, I was 11, 12 years old,
Yeah.
you know, heard it.
Yeah.
And you grew up with that.
Yeah, if you repeat something often enough, everybody will start to believe it.
Yes.
So what we want to do is repeat
same
the
as
Dhamma
that.
enough.
That is part of the meaning of chanting,
Yeah.
again and again and again. So it goes the channels right into the
Yeah,
deep
but, you
understanding.
know, the thing with chanting is that it's happening in a language that you don't necessarily understand.
You have to do it in English.
Yes, also.
Well, but I had a
There is
friend come to me in Malaysia, and he said, I've been doing this Mahayana chant for 7 years. Would you like me to chant for you? And I said, yes.
Yeah,
So I listened to him chant, and when he got done, and I said, what does it mean? And it was like I hit him with a wet towel. And he was shocked. He said, mean?
they know.
No, I don't know what it means. It's supposed to be the sound that's so important. And I said, well, you can say banana over and over again, At least you know what a banana is. He didn't like that very much. But that's just as useful. If you don't understand what you're doing, while you're doing it, then it doesn't work very well. It takes the repetition, it takes a lot of repetition, but it has to be repetition with understanding,
Yeah.
deep understanding. And that's why you do the practice. See, in Sri Lanka and in Thailand and in Burma, they teach all the monks about chanting before they teach them anything about meditation. And a lot of monks won't do meditation, they just want to do their chanting because that's how they can get prosperous. Because people give chanters money or material things.
Really?
In Thailand in particular, that is happening more and more. There's these professional chanters, somebody in your family dies, will come for this amount of money. And will chant for 2 or 3 hours.
Uh-huh.
Or you have buy a new car, you want it chanted for, you got to pay for it. Or you have a new business, you want the monks to come in and chant so you're going to be prosperous. But you have to pay for it. And a lot of that is done without true understanding. And that is very misleading to my way of thinking.
That's what?
Misleading.
Oh, yeah.
And I've known some monks that all they did was they went to the monk college to learn how to chant, then they quit. So they didn't learn anything about the suttas, they didn't learn anything about the philosophy, just so they could chant. That was enough, then they came back so that they could have the material things that they want.
To develop devotion that way, rather than understanding.
Well, even
No?
the devotion can be a little bit shaky ground.
Well, yeah.
The way things that are happening now, that doesn't mean it's always been like that, that doesn't mean that it's going to be like that in the future. Hopefully we have enough other monks that do this sort of thing sincerely, and they can teach what the suttas are by chanting and then explaining.
Mhm.
That's what needs to be done. I personally am not very much of a chanter. I chant a little bit, but I do a lot more study. I do a lot more practice. And this is practical to me. So that's why I do it the way that I do. And I get criticized because I don't know a lot of chants. But it's not important to me. The study is the important thing to me. And I always think of when, during the time of the Buddha, there were a lot of monks that went into the forest and they did a lot of meditation. They didn't necessarily do a lot of chanting, but they would do a lot of meditation. And they didn't have a Buddha image to go and bow to every day. They didn't have a lot of rites and rituals that they had to do. They just did the practice.
Mhm.
And to me, that's the most important part of all of Buddhism, is doing the practice. That's what you're doing now. And you're doing it very well, and I certainly do appreciate all of you for it. So, does anybody have any questions? A great teacher, huh? That's the Buddha.
Was there any chanting at all done at the time of the Buddha?
There
Within the
was
Sangha?
some, yeah, they would sit together, and because it was the common language, They understood what they were chanting. Now you say Pali was the language of the Buddha. Actually, it was Magadha. That was the language of Magadha. But it was the common language. The Buddha rejected doing anything in Sanskrit because that was only for the Brahmins, and they were the only ones that would understand it. But as time went by, everybody decided, well, we'll keep it in the original language and learn it. And there are some monks that you can go up to and say, okay, you just chanted this, tell me exactly what it said. And they aren't able to do that. So that's kind of an empty rite and ritual. So
That they chant in Pali, right?
they chant in Pali.
Are there monks who chant in English or French or German or whatever?
There's starting to be some. I've had some monks come up and say, we still think that we should be chanting in Pali, but we want people to understand it. How should we do it? So I tell them to do it line by line. Do a line of English and a line of Pali, so that you know what that line meant. And it seems to be catching on in New Mexico. It seems to be doing pretty well. But a lot of the chanting, people like to sing their chants, carry a tune. And the chant is just supposed to be a repetition. It's supposed to be on the same line, the same notes. Yeah. It's interesting the way the chanting has become more popular with a lot of people than the actual practice itself. You go to Thai temples, they will sit there and listen to the monks chant, and that's what their ceremony really is the chanting. And a lot of chants are very powerful chants. They can make you feel very good. They can be very helpful in a lot of ways. But if you don't actually know what is being said, you're not following what the Buddha was teaching, to my way of thinking.
It certainly would be easier then.
Oh, infinitely. But nobody said it was supposed to be easy. Okay? Then let's share some merit. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, Devas and Nagas of mighty power share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation.